A couple years back, something terrifying happened to me. I was at the mall, just a regular weekday afternoon. Nothing special. Just one of those days where I wanted to walk around, grab some lunch, maybe check out a few stores. I wasn't even planning to buy anything, just killing time. I started in one of the big department stores on the far end of the mall. It was pretty empty, just a few people browsing around, so it was quiet. I spent some time checking out clothes, walking through the aisles, not really in a hurry. That's when I noticed this guy standing a few racks over. He didn't seem out of place at first, just kind of wandering like I was. But then I realized he wasn't browsing or picking up anything. He was just standing there watching me out the corner of his eye. I told myself I was being paranoid. But as I moved to another section of the store, I couldn't shake this uneasy feeling. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him again, same distance, just standing still, his eyes locked on me. And it wasn't like he was hiding. He was almost too obvious, like he wanted me to see him. I decided to move to another department, trying to shake the weird vibe. I went upstairs to the home goods section, figuring I'd spend a few minutes up there before heading out. After about 5 minutes of walking through the bedding area, I glanced back. There he was again, this time closer. Not too close, but enough that I couldn't ignore it anymore. He wasn't even pretending to shop. At this point, I was starting to feel really uncomfortable. So I grabbed my phone and called my friend, just to feel like I wasn't completely alone. While I was talking to her, I kept moving, slowly making my way toward the escalator. As I headed down, I didn't see him, and for a minute I thought maybe he'd left or was just a weirdo who finally lost interest. But when I reached the main floor of the mall and stepped out of the store into the main walkway, I spotted him again, leaning against the railing near the food court. I tried to stay calm, even though my gut was screaming that something was off. I thought about leaving, but I had parked pretty far from the entrance, and the idea of walking to my car, alone, knowing this guy might follow me, freaked me out. So I decided to stick to public places. I walked into the food court, grabbed a table near some other people, and pretended to be on my phone while trying to figure out what to do next. He didn't follow me into the food court, but I could see him lingering just outside, near one of the planters, still keeping his distance, but definitely watching. That's when I started to think that maybe I was being targeted or something. Why else would someone just stand there staring like that? I finished my call and decided to walk into a more crowded area, hoping maybe he'd lose track of me. I started weaving through some stores, doubling back a couple of times to see if he was still following. Every time I thought I'd lost him, I'd catch a glimpse of him in the reflection of a window or see his outline in the distance, always hovering just far enough away to make it seem like he wasn't outright chasing me, but close enough to let me know he was still there. The worst part was, he never once tried to talk to me. He didn't approach or say anything, just kept his distance, like some kind of predator waiting for the right moment. I could feel my anxiety rising, and I knew I had to get out of there. I decided I wasn't going to walk to my car alone. I headed for the entrance closest to the security office, figuring if I made it look like I was just going to ask a question, I could let the guards know what was going on. As I got closer to the doors, I looked back one last time, and there he was, walking parallel to me but on the other side of the walkway. His pace had picked up now, and he was heading toward the same exit. I quickly ducked into the security office. I felt a bit embarrassed at first, thinking maybe I was just overreacting, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something bad was about to happen, and I explained to the guard that this guy had been following me for the last hour. He nodded like he'd seen it before and pulled up the mall's cameras to take a look. As I was describing the guy, the guard's face changed, and he glanced over at me. "Did you say he was wearing a black jacket?" he asked, his voice suddenly serious. I said, "Yeah, and he was also wearing jeans." He clicked a few more times on the camera footage, then leaned back, looking confused. He said, "The cameras didn't pick anyone up following you." "What do you mean?" I asked. "I saw him, and he's literally right out there." The guard pointed at the monitor, where I could see myself walking through the mall, looking around nervously, checking my phone. But no one else. No one was following me in the footage. I insisted there had to be some mistake, but he rewound the footage multiple times, and there was definitely no one else. I left the mall with an escort that night, but to this day, I still don't understand what happened. I know what I saw, and I know that guy was real. But the cameras didn't lie, and every time I replay it in my head, it just gets creepier. Maybe it was a person, maybe something else. All I know is that feeling, the way he watched me, it still haunts me.